Have you ever felt that there is something more to life, something hidden just beneath the surface of your everyday reality, quietly waiting for you to discover it? You're about to embark on a transformative journey alongside Alexander Grant, a young man whose life is forever altered by a mysterious letter from his late father. Together, you will explore an ancient wisdom, hidden energy manifestation, a secret power woven into the fabric of existence itself, capable of healing, creation, and profound personal change. As you listen, you'll uncover timeless practices and mystical truths, witnessing firsthand how love, intention, and connection can awaken the extraordinary within you. Open your mind and heart. Your adventure into the unseen world of energy and infinite possibilities begins now. Chapter 1: The Invitation. A cool autumn wind whispered through the yellowing leaves as Alexander sat alone on the wooden bench. In his hands, he clutched a weathered envelope, the paper thin from decades of existence. His name, Alexander Grant, was penned in an elegant, familiar script across the front. It was his father's handwriting. Alexander's heart pounded in his chest, torn between grief and curiosity. Just days ago they had laid his father to rest, and now this mysterious letter had found its way into his hands. With trembling fingers he carefully broke the wax seal. The faint scent of old ink and cedar escaped as he unfolded the parchment. Under the dimming afternoon light, he began to read. His father's words flowed straight into Alexander's soul. "My dear Alex, if you are reading this, then my journey in this world has ended. Do not mourn me, for I am with you always. I have left you something far more valuable than any material inheritance. It is a path, one that I walked long ago, and that I now invite you to walk as well. You have felt it, haven't you? That sense that there's more to life than what we see, an energy that flows through everything, calling to you in quiet moments. I felt it too at your age, and I discovered that this feeling is real. There is a secret, ancient wisdom that can unlock extraordinary powers of healing and creation. I spent much of my life studying it. I had a teacher, a dear friend, who guided me through the hidden truths of energy and manifestation. His name is Gabriel. If you choose to seek him out, he will show you what I could not. The world is much more mystical than it appears, my son. Within you is the power to shape reality, to heal, and to find the answers you seek. Trust Gabriel, as I did. Trust yourself. Before you set out to find him, prepare yourself with a simple practice that he taught me on the first day we met. Calm your mind and open your heart, for you stand at the doorway of a great journey. Here is what you must do before you come to meet Gabriel. Energy practice, calming the mind. Find a quiet space. Sit down comfortably in a place where you won't be disturbed. Feel the ground beneath your feet, solid and steady. Close your eyes and breathe. Take a deep breath in through your nose and slowly exhale through your mouth. Focus only on the sound of your breath. Let your shoulders relax. Release your tension. With each exhale, imagine any worries or sadness leaving your body. See them as dark clouds dissipating with your breath. Feel the present moment. Notice the cool air on your skin and the support of the bench under you. Be fully here now with an open mind. Set your intention. In your mind, say quietly, I am ready to see what lies beyond. I am open to the hidden energy of life. Feel the truth of those words resonate inside you. Do this, and you will understand that my words are truth. When you are ready, go to the old stone cottage by the oak grove on Raven Hill. Gabriel will be waiting. All my love, always. Dad. Alexander exhaled a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. The letter fluttered in his hands as the weight of his father's message settled over him. He closed his eyes as instructed, tears of longing gathering at the corners. With a shaky inhale, he began to follow his father's instructions, right there on the bench in the gentle hush of dusk. The world around him softened as he breathed slowly. The rustling leaves grew quieter in his mind, the ache in his chest easing with each exhale. He pictured his grief and confusion as dark clouds drifting out of him, replaced by a faint golden light of calm. The weight of the day lifted. In that moment, Alexander felt something new, a tingling warmth stirring in the center of his chest, as if in response to his conscious breathing. It was subtle but undeniable. A calm clarity washed over him, and with it an unexpected Opening his eyes, Alexander noticed the last rays of the sun dipping below the horizon. He carefully folded the letter and placed it inside his coat pocket, right above his heart. The instructions had been simple, yet profoundly effective. He felt more grounded and focused than he had in weeks since his father's passing. Whatever this hidden energy and ancient wisdom were, it had already begun to touch him. As the evening settled in, Alexander knew what he needed to do. His father had given him a final gift, a chance to discover the secrets that had illuminated his father's life. And perhaps, Alexander thought with a surge of determination, this path might even help him save Lily. Lily, his little sister, was only 12 and had been battling an illness the doctors struggled to understand. His father had never explained the depths of his research to either of them, but maybe this was why. Maybe all of it was for Lily's sake, for their family's sake. Alexander rose from the bench under the oak tree, gazing up at the twinkling stars that began to appear in the twilight sky. He felt as though the universe itself was watching, waiting for his next move. Clutching his coat around himself to keep out the chill, Alexander set off with resolve. In the distance, just beyond the farmlands at the edge of town, Raven Hill loomed against the painted sky. At its crest, hidden among ancient oak trees, was an old stone cottage that he dimly remembered visiting once as a child with his father. It must be the place. Gabriel would be there if the letter spoke true. Each step along the dirt path felt momentous. With the moon rising at his back, Alexander walked toward the unknown, heart thumping not with fear now, but with anticipation. The night was alive with the chorus of crickets, and the air tasted of possibilities. Though he was a young man rooted in modern reality, about to knock on the door of something utterly mystical, Alexander felt ready. He whispered under his breath the last words from the letter, "I am open to the hidden energy of life." In the secret darkness of that night, the journey of hidden energy manifestation had begun. Chapter 2, A Glimpse of Energy. Night had fully settled by the time Alexander reached the stone cottage on Raven Hill. The moonlight silvered its slate roof and glinted off the small windows. His heart fluttered with a mix of excitement and nervousness as he raised a hand to knock on the heavy oak door. Before his knuckles met the wood, the door creaked open, revealing a tall, slender man illuminated by warm lamplight from within. The man appeared to be in his late 50s with kind hazel eyes that crinkled at the corners. His hair was silvered at the temples, and he carried an aura of calm that instantly eased Alexander's anxious mind. He smiled gently. "You must be Alex," he said in a voice that was both soft and strong. "I've been expecting you." "Gabriel?" Alexander asked, though he already knew the answer. The older man nodded and opened the door wider in welcome. The scent of burning wood and herbs wafted out. "Come in, my boy, you must be cold." Alexander stepped inside, and his eyes widened at the sight. The cottage's interior was like something out of time. Shelves lined with ancient books and scrolls, crystals and odd artifacts placed neatly throughout, and a fireplace casting dancing shadows across the cozy room. On a wooden table lay a steaming teapot and 2 cups. Despite never having been here in his adult life, Alexander felt a strange familiarity, as if he had walked into a place that already knew him. "I knew your father well," Gabriel said, pouring tea into the cups. "He and I studied together many years ago. I was deeply saddened to hear of his passing." He handed Alexander a cup. The tea's aroma of chamomile and something floral calmed Alexander further. "Thank you," Alexander murmured, taking a grateful sip. I only found out about all this tonight from his letter. He never mentioned any of it to me while he was alive." Gabriel nodded, taking a seat by the fire and motioning Alexander to join him. "Your father chose to keep these teachings private until the time was right. Perhaps he worried it was too much for you as a child, but he sensed your potential." Gabriel's eyes shone as he looked at Alexander. "And now, here you are, ready to step into a secret world." Alexander felt a warmth at those words, ready to step into a secret world. It echoed what his father had written. "I have to admit, this is all a bit unbelievable," he said, glancing at a nearby bookshelf filled with titles hinting at mysticism and energy. "But I did the breathing practice from the letter, and it really did something. I felt calmer, and I felt this warmth inside. I can't explain it." Gabriel's face lit up with encouragement. "That was your first step into sensing the energy within you." "What you felt was real, Alexander. It was the life force that flows through all of us, often called chi or prana in ancient traditions. Your father simply called it the light." He leaned forward. "Would you like to feel it more tangibly?" Alexander set down his teacup, nodding eagerly. "Yes, please." His skepticism was melting away, replaced by curiosity. Gabriel stood up and gestured for Alexander to do the same. They moved to an open space near the hearth, where a soft woven rug covered the floor. "This is a simple exercise to help you sense the energy in and around your body," Gabriel explained. "It was one of the first things I learned, and it opened my eyes to a new world. Let's try it together. Energy practice, sensing your life." "Rub your hands together." Gabriel guided Alexander to briskly rub his palms against each other. The friction created warmth. "Keep going until they feel hot," he said. Alexander did so, noticing heat building between his hands. "Slowly separate your hands. Now stop and hold your hands facing each other about an inch apart. Alexander paused his rubbing and held his hands facing each other as instructed. Slowly pull them a few inches apart. As he did, he felt a peculiar resistance, as if an invisible cushion lay between his palms. Focus on the sensation. Relax your hands and fingers and gently move them closer together, then apart again, as if you had a soft ball between them, Gabriel said quietly. Alexander concentrated, moving his hands slightly in and out. His eyes widened. He could feel something, a gentle push and pull, almost like the bounce of a spring or two magnets. Become aware of the energy ball. A subtle tingling danced across Alexander's palms and fingertips. It felt like a ball of warm, buzzing air was pressing between his hands. That tingling sensation, that subtle resistance you feel, that is your energy, Gabriel affirmed in a soothing tone. Try shaping it in your mind. Shape and play with the energy. Alexander imagined a small sphere of light between his hands, giving form to the feeling. To his astonishment, he felt the energy sphere intensify. He gently played with moving his hands slightly closer and farther, almost like compressing and expanding a spring. The sensation was unmistakable now. Something real was there, though unseen. Alexander let out a breathless laugh, equal parts amazed and delighted. "I can feel it," he exclaimed. His skepticism had vanished. The evidence was literally in his hands. It felt like discovering a new color that he never knew existed. Gabriel chuckled softly, nodding. "Yes, that is the life force energy, your personal chi. Many people go their whole lives never realizing it's there. But once you know how to feel it, a new layer of experience opens up." Alexander continued to move his hands, experimenting, his face lit with childlike wonder in the firelight. "This is incredible. It's warm, and there's a kind of pressure. How is this possible?" he asked. "Our bodies are surrounded by an energy field," Gabriel explained, holding up his own hands. "What you're feeling is the interaction of the energy in your palms. It's always been there, but your awareness makes it real to you now. In time, you'll learn to control and direct this energy." Gabriel slowly brought his hands together, and Alexander did the same, letting the energy ball dissipate as his palms met. The older man rested a hand on Alexander's shoulder. "Your father was very proud the day he first felt that energy, just as you have now. He devoted himself to understanding it, to using it for healing and good." He paused, eyes searching Alexander's, and he suspected that one day you would continue that journey. A lump rose in Alexander's throat at the thought of his father. "I wish he had told me about all this," he murmured, voice thick with emotion. We could have shared it." Gabriel squeezed his shoulder kindly. "He had his reasons, I'm sure. Perhaps he thought he was protecting you, but he's sharing it with you now in the way he could. And I'm here to help you, just as I helped him." Gabriel gestured to a small hallway. "There's a guest room prepared for you. Get some rest tonight. We have much to explore starting tomorrow at dawn." Exhaustion suddenly washed over Alexander as the adrenaline of the evening subsided. The realization of all he had learned and felt in the span of hours left him pleasantly drained. "Thank you for everything," Alexander said earnestly. "You're most welcome." Gabriel smiled, Sleep well, Alex. Your journey is just beginning. Alexander made his way to the cozy guest room lit by a single lantern. As he sank onto the soft bed, his mind swirled with the events of the night. He replayed the feeling of that invisible ball of energy between his hands, the warmth still lingering in his palms. In one evening, his world had expanded beyond the ordinary, and he knew life would never be the same. Clutching his father's letter through the fabric of his coat for reassurance, Alexander closed his eyes. The gentle crackle of the fire in the other room and the distant call of an owl lulled him into a deep, hopeful sleep, eager for the wisdom the next dawn would bring. Chapter 3: Igniting the Inner Light. Golden morning light spilled through the cottage windows when Alexander woke. He dressed quickly, feeling a sense of purpose humming in his veins. Memories of the previous night rushed back, the gentle pressure of the energy ball between his palms and Gabriel's reassuring presence. Today, the journey would continue. He found Gabriel outside in a small garden behind the cottage. The older man stood barefoot on the dewy grass, face turned toward the rising sun, eyes closed as if in silent prayer or meditation. A sense of peace radiated from him, blending with the soft chirping of birds in the oak trees. Alexander paused at the doorway to watch. In the golden glow of dawn, Gabriel seemed almost ageless, calm, rooted, and radiant. Not wanting to disturb the moment, Alexander quietly stepped into the grass. At the sound of his footsteps, Gabriel opened his eyes and smiled warmly. "Good morning, Alex. Did you sleep well?" "Very well, actually," Alexander replied, realizing it was true. For the first time in months, he had slept deeply, without the usual tossing and turning of worry. "I feel good." "I'm glad," Gabriel said. "Come, let's greet the sun together. There's a practice I do each morning to awaken the energy within." He motioned for Alexander to join him in the center of the garden, where the grass was soft and fragrant. They stood facing east, where the sun crested the horizon in a wash of pink and orange. "The energy we felt between our hands last night is just one small part of a vast system within and around us," Gabriel began, his voice calm like the morning breeze. "Today, we'll start with your heart, quite literally the heart of your energy." He placed a hand gently over his own chest. Many traditions speak of energy centers in the body. In Eastern wisdom, they are called chakras. Your father and I often just called them centers of light. The heart center is one of the most powerful. It is the wellspring of love, compassion, and healing. At the mention of healing, Alexander thought of Lily. He could picture her pale face, her hopeful smile despite the pain she endured daily. He felt a pang of longing and concern. Gabriel seemed to read his thoughts and nodded knowingly. If you want to help your sister, strengthening your heart energy is key. Love is the greatest healer. But first, you must feel that love and light within yourself. Alexander swallowed and mirrored Gabriel by placing his own hand on his chest. The morning air was cool, but he felt warmth blooming beneath his palm where his heart was. "I'm ready," he said softly. "Good. We'll do this step by step," Gabriel assured. "This exercise is about igniting the inner light of your heart and letting it expand." Energy practice, awakening the heart center. Find your calm posture. Alexander and Gabriel both stood relaxed, feet hip-width apart on the earth. Alexander felt the dampness of the grass between his toes. Relax your knees, let your spine be straight but not tense, Gabriel instructed. Alexander rolled his shoulders back gently, releasing any stiffness. Place your hand on your heart. Alexander kept his right hand over the center of his chest. Close your eyes, Gabriel said, and breathe slowly, in and out. Alexander followed, inhaling the fresh morning air deeply and sighing it out. He noticed his heartbeat under his palm, steady and strong. Visualize a small light. Now, Gabriel's voice was quiet and guiding. Imagine in the darkness behind your closed eyes, a tiny spark of light glowing inside your chest where your heart is. It might be as small as a candle flame or a glowing ember. Alexander focused on the idea and soon could almost see it. A faint, warm glimmer within. Fan the flame with breath. Each time you breathe in, imagine that spark growing a little brighter, Gabriel said. Each breath out, that light spreads gently through your chest. Alexander drew in a breath, and in his mind the ember glowed, expanding into a small flame. With the exhale, he felt warmth radiate outward, as if his whole chest were gently illuminated from the inside. Expand the inner light. Keep breathing and see the light filling you, Gabriel continued. Let it fill your chest, your lungs, your heart with a golden glow. Let it melt away any tension or pain. Alexander did so, breath by breath. The golden light in his heart center grew, washing through him. It climbed upward into his shoulders and head, and downward through his belly. He felt enveloped in comfort and peace. Embrace emotion. As Alexander basked in this inner light, unexpected tears welled in his eyes. A profound emotion was rising, grief and love intertwined. Memories of his father flooded in. Childhood afternoons laughing in this very garden, his father's warm hugs. He let the tears flow down his cheeks, not as sorrow alone, but as love flowing out. The light in his chest seemed to soften the ache. Gabriel gently placed a hand on Alexander's back, steadying him. If you feel like crying or smiling or laughing, it's okay, Gabriel whispered. Let your heart express what it holds. Radiate the love. Alexander felt a surge of love swell from his heart, as if the image of Lily appeared inside that golden glow, and his father too. In his mind, he embraced them. Now imagine that light expanding beyond you, like a gentle wave or aura around your body, Gabriel said. Alexander visualized the golden light moving past his skin, forming a warm bubble of energy that extended a few feet around him. It was as if he stood in a cocoon of morning sunlight, safe and loved. A soft sob escaped Alexander's throat, and he finally opened his eyes. Sunlight was streaming through the trees, matching the light he still imagined around him. He wiped his wet cheeks, feeling oddly purified. "I'm sorry," he began, embarrassed by the tears, but Gabriel shook his head. "There is nothing to apologize for," Gabriel said gently. "What you just did is release and empower. Your tears, your love, your pain, they are all energy. By letting them flow, you transformed their weight into light." Alexander took a shuddering breath and realized that the heaviness he'd carried since his father's death was lighter now. The grief was still there, but it no longer felt like a cold stone. It felt like something warm that could be carried with love. I felt my father and Lily. It was like I could hold them in that light, he said quietly. Gabriel smiled, his own eyes a bit misty. Love connects us beyond physical space and even death. When your heart center shines, that love reaches those you think about. Your father, I am sure, felt your love just now, wherever he is. And your sister, even miles away, her soul can feel it too. Alexander was silent for a moment, absorbing the profound truth that even if it sounded incredible, it felt real. He had tangibly sensed something shift inside him. Standing here in the garden, he felt connected to his mentor beside him, to his family afar, and to the natural beauty around. The golden aura he visualized might have been imagination, but its effect was undeniably real in his heart. Your inner light is strong, Gabriel said, finally removing his comforting hand from Alexander's back, and you can call upon it whenever darkness weighs on you. Remember this feeling, it is both your refuge and your power. Alexander nodded, a gentle determination lighting his eyes. The practice had moved him deeply. He now understood that mastering energy was not just about mysterious forces, but also about his own emotions and inner state. "Thank you, Gabriel," he said, voice filled with gratitude. "I never realized how much I needed that." "We carry so much within us," Gabriel replied, gazing at the rising sun. "Memories, feelings, worries, hopes. Energy work isn't just about the external world. It starts inside. When you heal and balance your inner energy, the outer world begins to change as well." He inhaled deeply, the morning air invigorating. "Let's take a short break and have some breakfast, shall we? We have more to explore, but we must also care for our bodies." Only now did Alexander notice the delicious scent of something baking wafting from the kitchen window. His stomach rumbled, reminding him he hadn't eaten since a quick bite last evening. With one last glance at the beautiful morning sun, he followed Gabriel back into the cottage, feeling lighter on his feet and lighter in his soul. The inner light of his heart had been kindled, and with it, a new hope that he could truly make a difference for Lily and perhaps many others in time. Chapter 4: Mastering the Storm Within. After a hearty breakfast of fresh bread, fruit and honey, Gabriel suggested a walk. They set off down a narrow path leading away from the cottage into a grove where ancient oaks and maples intertwined their branches overhead. Sunlight filtered through leaves, painting the ground with shifting patterns of light and shadow. Alexander felt refreshed and optimistic after the morning's heart-centering exercise. Yet, as they walked, a thought that had been quietly simmering came bubbling up. "Gabriel," Alexander began hesitantly, "how long will it take to learn enough?" Gabriel glanced at him. "Enough to help Lily, you mean?" Alexander nodded, a touch of impatience in his step. "I feel like we're doing something amazing here, and I do feel different. But I'm worried. Lily doesn't have forever. What if this doesn't work?" His voice choked slightly on the last words, revealing the fear behind them. "What if I'm wasting time here while she gets worse?" Gabriel stopped walking and turned to face Alexander, his expression compassionate yet serious. "I understand your concern, Alex. Fear for a loved one can stir a storm of emotions inside us. But to truly help your sister, you must first master that storm." Alexander looked down, ashamed of his momentary doubt. "I just feel so helpless sometimes," he murmured. "When I see her in pain, I get angry at myself for not being able to fix it, and afraid that I'll lose her, like we lost Dad." Gabriel placed a reassuring hand on Alexander's shoulder. "These feelings are natural. Remember, every emotion you feel is energy. Fear, anger, frustration. These are powerful energies, but if left wild, they're like an untamed storm, causing destruction within and around you. However, if you learn to calm and focus that storm, those same energies can become a force for good." He guided Alexander to a fallen log by the side of the path where they both sat. Nearby, a small brook gurgled softly, winding through mossy stones. "When I was first learning, I struggled with my own doubts," Gabriel said, gazing at the flowing water. "I had anger in me from a difficult childhood. My mentor taught me a practice to face these turbulent emotions. I'd like to share it with you now." Alexander took a deep breath, nodding. The prospect of directly addressing his fear and anger both intrigued and unsettled him. "What do I need to do?" he asked quietly. "We will use the breath and your visualization to calm the inner storm," Gabriel replied. "Just as you breathed light into your heart, now you'll breathe peace into your mind and release the hold of fear. Energy practice, calming emotional storms settle into stillness." Alexander planted his feet on the ground as he sat on the log, feeling the solid earth beneath. He straightened his back. Gabriel said softly, "Rest your hands on your thighs or knees, whatever feels natural." Deep cleansing breath. Alexander inhaled slowly through his nose, drawing the crisp forest air deep into his belly. "Now exhale through your mouth," Gabriel instructed. "Imagine you're sighing out all your worries." Alexander did so, blowing the air out forcefully. He already felt a small release, as if tension were evaporating like mist. "Identify the feeling." "Close your eyes," Gabriel said. "Now think of one thing that is weighing on you most. Notice what emotion comes with it. Is it fear, anger, sadness?" Alexander thought of Lily in her hospital bed, the helplessness that image brought. A tightness formed in his stomach. "Fear," he whispered, "and frustration. Locate it in the body. Where do you feel that emotion?" Gabriel asked. Alexander focused on his body. The tightness in his gut and a clench in his chest stood out. "My stomach and my chest," he answered, voice tense. "Breathe into the feeling. Imagine your breath is flowing into that part of your body," Gabriel said, "like a warm, soothing breeze. Inhale and direct the air to your tight stomach. Exhale and release the tension from there." Alexander visualized his breath as a gentle wind entering his torso. As he breathed out, he saw in his mind's eye dark, smoky mist leaving from those tense places, dissipating into the air. Transform the energy. "Now give the emotion a color in your mind," Gabriel advised. "Perhaps your fear is a dark gray or muddy red, whatever comes to you." For Alexander, the fear appeared as a jagged black smoke swirling inside him. With each breath, see if you can change that color, lighten it, brighten it. Alexander concentrated, drawing a long breath in. The black smoke quivered and began to thin. As he exhaled, he imagined it turning to a lighter grey, then a pale white vapor. Release and replace. Gabriel's voice was calm and unwavering. Let the dark clouds of emotion flow out with every exhale. If you need to, sigh or even make a sound. Alexander exhaled again, this time letting out a quiet, trembling sigh. He imagined the last of the grey mist leaving his chest. Now, as you breathe in, invite a new feeling. Courage, trust, peace. See it as a bright colour. Alexander pictured a gentle blue light, like a clear sky, filling the space where the darkness had been. Each inhale brought more blue into him. Each exhale pushed out residual worry. Alexander continued this rhythmic breathing for a few more cycles. With every breath, the knot in his stomach loosened. He felt calmer. The urgency of his fear dulled into something more manageable, more akin to determination than panic. After a while, he opened his eyes. The forest seemed brighter and the air clearer, as if his own senses were no longer clouded. "How do you feel?" Gabriel asked quietly, studying Alexander's face. Alexander considered it. Better, calmer. The fear is still there, but it's not overwhelming now. It's like I can think more clearly about what to do instead of just worrying. Gabriel nodded. Precisely. Fear and anger are not bad, they are natural. But if we let them control us, we lose our clarity and power. By acknowledging them and then transforming them, we reclaim our power. Alexander looked at the brook, watching the water swirl around rocks and continue smoothly onward. While I was breathing, I imagined my fear as dark smoke. Breathing it out made me feel like I was clearing a poison from my body. That's a good visualization, Gabriel affirmed. Many ancient traditions use similar imagery, expelling negative energy as dark smoke or tar, and inhaling light or clean air to replace it. In Hawaiian Huna practice, for example, they speak of AKA chords and releasing negative ties. In yoga and qigong, breath is used to balance the emotions. Different words, same wisdom. Alexander found comfort in the idea that many cultures understood this process. It made it feel more real and universal. It's amazing how something as simple as breathing and imagining can change how I feel in just a few minutes, he said. Never underestimate the power of focused intention and breath, Gabriel replied. Mind and energy are intimately connected. Where your attention goes, energy flows. When you filled yourself with thoughts of fear, your energy became chaotic. By shifting your focus to calm and courage, you directed your energy to change its state. Alexander stood up from the log, feeling lighter, not just emotionally, but even physically. I feel like I could do this whenever I start feeling overwhelmed. And so you should, Gabriel encouraged, also rising to his feet. Make it a habit. Emotions will always come and go like weather patterns. But you now have a way to weather any storm. Remember, you are the sky, and emotions are just passing clouds. You can let them pass, or you can transform them. Alexander took those words to heart. For so long, he had felt at the mercy of his worry and anger about Lily's condition and his father's death. Now he understood that while those feelings were natural, he could meet them with a calm strength instead of panic. This realization settled in him as a newfound confidence. "Thank you," Alexander said quietly as they resumed their walk through the woods. "I needed that. I think fear has been my constant companion lately. Now I know how to face it." Gabriel gave him a warm smile. "You're learning to master your inner world. This is crucial, because as we move forward, the energy work will require a clear mind and steady heart. The more balanced you are inside, the more effectively you can use these gifts, especially for something as important as healing." As they continued along the forest path, Alexander felt a new steadiness within. The trees seemed to whisper encouragement with each rustle of leaves. He knew there would still be difficult days ahead, but he now had tools to find calm amid chaos. In mastering the storm within, he was one step closer to mastering the hidden energy that could transform his life and help those he loved. Chapter 5: The Secret History. The sun hung low in the sky by the time Alexander and Gabriel returned to the cottage. The day had been filled with revelations, and as dusk approached, Gabriel led Alexander to a part of the cottage he had not yet seen. At the end of a short hallway was a heavy door reinforced with iron hinges. Gabriel produced a small key from his pocket and unlocked it, the door groaning open to reveal a steep staircase leading downward. "Where are we going?" Alexander asked, curiosity piqued by the cool draught of air that wafted up from below. "To the archives," Gabriel replied with a hint of a smile. "Your father spent many hours down here with me. It's where we kept our most precious books and records of ancient wisdom." Alexander's heart quickened. He carefully followed Gabriel down the stone steps. With each descent, the air grew cooler and carried the scent of aged paper and incense. They emerged into an underground chamber lined wall to wall with bookshelves. Flickering oil lamps cast a gentle light, illuminating dust particles that danced in the air. In the center of the chamber stood a large wooden table, upon which several massive tomes lay open, alongside scrolls and even clay tablets preserved under glass. "This is incredible," Alexander breathed, slowly turning in a circle to take it all in. "I had no idea Father was involved in something so vast." He was fascinated by the universality of energy teachings, Gabriel said, walking to a shelf and carefully pulling out a thick leather-bound volume. He collected knowledge from different ages and cultures, looking for common threads, and he found them. Gabriel laid the tome on the table and gestured Alexander over. On the yellowed pages were diagrams of human figures with points of light, symbols that looked both familiar and foreign, and text in multiple languages. "This," said Gabriel, running a finger under a line of script, "is an account from an ancient temple in Egypt, written in Greek by a traveller who learned from the priests there. It describes how they use the energy of the heart and mind to heal the sick, not unlike what we are doing now." Alexander scanned the page, recognizing a few Greek letters from his college days, but not enough to read fluently. Still, the illustrations spoke volumes. One showed a person placing hands on another with wavy lines, connecting them, and a sun-like symbol over the helper's chest and forehead. "Healing energy through the hands?" Alexander asked, tracing the picture. "Yes. The concept of laying on of hands exists in many traditions," Gabriel explained. "In the temple of Sekhmet, Egyptian priests were said to channel the goddess's healing power through their palms. Similarly, early Christians spoke of healing through prayer and touch, and in Eastern practices, Reiki and Qigong use hand energy too. Different cultures, same idea, using the energy that flows through us to help others." Alexander felt a swell of inspiration. To see it documented made everything even more concrete. "What other kinds of things did Father study here?" he asked, looking around at the array of wisdom. Gabriel carefully flipped a few pages. Ancient Chinese scrolls on qi, Indian scriptures on prana, writings of medieval alchemists seeking the vital force, diaries of American folk healers. He was especially keen on how thought and intention shape reality. Here. He turned to another section, revealing an old sketch of geometric shapes and a glowing halo around a person's head. This is an illustration of what some call the third eye, an inner vision center. Many ancient seers believed that by opening this inner sight, one could perceive knowledge beyond ordinary senses, visions of the past, distant events, or spiritual insights. Alexander looked at the triangular symbol drawn on the forehead of the figure in the sketch. "The third eye. I've heard of that in yoga classes back home," he admitted. "I always thought it was just metaphorical." Gabriel chuckled softly. Metaphor and reality often blend in these teachings. The third eye isn't a physical eye, of course, but a term for the mind's eye, the faculty of imagination and intuition. Cultivating it can allow one to see energy and even receive guidance or visions. Your father practiced this diligently. He believed it helped him converse with the wisdom of those who came before us. Alexander felt a tingle of excitement. The idea of seeing beyond the ordinary was both thrilling and a bit intimidating. Did my father ever see things, visions of the past or anything? "He did," Gabriel said, eyes shining at the memory. "I recall once, while meditating, he described a vivid scene of a hillside under a purple sunset, where a circle of elders were teaching a crowd of children how to feel the earth's energy. Later we discovered in a Celtic history book a description uncannily similar to what he saw, down to the purple twilight. An old druid gathering, perhaps." Alexander stared in wonder. His father had never spoken of such experiences, and yet here was a whole hidden side of him, a seeker of ancient truths, a man who had touched the invisible realms. "I wish I could have heard him describe those things," he said quietly. "In a way, you can," Gabriel replied, gently closing the big book. "Through your own practice, I can guide you to open your inner vision as well. Would you like to try?" Alexander hesitated for only a moment before nodding. "Yes, I'd like that." Despite the slight flutter of nerves in his stomach, his curiosity burned brighter. To see what his father saw, to connect with ancient wisdom directly, it was an opportunity he couldn't pass up. They cleared a small space on the cool stone floor of the archive. Gabriel lit a stick of incense, and a sweet, calming fragrance of sandalwood filled the chamber. Alexander sat cross-legged on a woven mat Gabriel provided, and Gabriel sat across from him. "We'll do a meditation to open your third eye, or inner vision," Gabriel said gently. "Don't try to force any visions. Just relax and observe whatever comes, like watching a movie screen in your mind. Energy practice, opening the inner vision. Relax the body and mind." Alexander closed his eyes as Gabriel instructed. He took a few deep breaths, rolling his neck and shoulders to release tension. The quiet of the underground library and the soft crackle of the lamps made it easy to settle into silence. Focus on the forehead point. Gently lift your inner gaze to the spot between your eyebrows, Gabriel said in a low voice. Some call this the third eye center. You might feel a slight pressure or tingling there as you focus. Alexander did so, his eyes closed but directed as if looking at the space just above the bridge of his nose. After a few moments, he indeed felt a subtle sensation, a faint throbbing or warmth. Visualize a symbol of insight. Now imagine a symbol of wisdom at that point, Gabriel continued. It could be an eye, a star, a lotus, or simply a bright orb, whatever feels right to you. An image formed in Alexander's mind, a simple blue eye, gentle and open, surrounded by soft light. He wasn't sure why that came, but he went with it. Breathe into the third eye. With each inhale, imagine you are breathing directly into that point, feeding it energy. With each exhale, the point of light or the symbol shines a little brighter. Alexander inhaled slowly, imagining his breath flowing up to his forehead. As he exhaled, the blue eye in his mind glowed more vividly, the light around it expanding like a ripple. Observe what arises. Now, simply observe. Your mind's eye is open. If any colors, images, or scenes appear, just let them play out. Don't judge or try to control them. You are a watcher. Alexander let go of trying. At first, he saw the usual darkness one has behind closed eyes. Then swirls of color drifted by, soft blues and purples. These gave way to shapes. Was that a corridor? He felt like he was moving or floating through the corridor of an old stone temple. Alexander's breathing remained steady as he delved deeper into this inner vision. He sensed he was not in the archive chamber anymore in his mind. He was somewhere else. Dimly, he was aware of Gabriel's presence and the scent of sandalwood, anchoring him to the here and now. But his mind's eye was fully engaged in the experience unfolding. He saw tall pillars on either side of him, carved with strange symbols that glowed faintly. Torches lined the walls. At the end of the hallway, he emerged into a vast circular chamber. The scene was dreamlike, yet he felt it was more than imagination. In the chamber, a group of people stood in a circle. They wore robes of white and gold. In the center, on a stone platform, lay a figure, perhaps injured or ill, as several of the robed individuals held their hands over them. A soft light connected the circle, as if a gentle beam extended from each person's heart and hands toward the center, converging on the prone figure. Alexander was both an observer and a participant in this vision. He could feel the warmth of the chamber's torches, smell the faint aroma of oils, and hear a low harmonic chanting. He realized he was witnessing an ancient healing ritual. The air was thick with sacredness and concentrated intent. As the chanting grew louder, the light intensifying, he saw the figure on the platform stir and sit up, healed and radiant. Tears of joy appeared on the faces of the circle of healers, and Alexander felt an immense surge of gratitude and awe welling up in himself, as if he too were part of this miracle. Gabriel's voice gently wove into the edge of his awareness. If you see something, take mental notes of details, but stay relaxed. Alexander noted the symbols on the healer's robes. One was the same eye symbol he had visualized. Another wore a pendant with a sun and spiral. He did not know their specific meaning, but they felt familiar, resonant. Gradually the vision began to fade, the images receding like a tide pulling back. The glowing temple dimmed back into soft colours, then into the blackness behind his eyelids. Alexander took a deeper breath and slowly opened his eyes. The stone walls of Gabriel's archive came back into view. "Welcome back," Gabriel said softly, still seated in front of him. A lamp flickered behind the mentor, illuminating his gentle smile. "What did you see?" Alexander pressed a hand to his forehead, the spot still warm and tingling. I saw an ancient temple, I think," he said, voice hushed with reverence. "There were people healing someone with energy in a circle. There was light connecting them. They were chanting, and it worked. The person was healed." As he spoke, tears unexpectedly brimmed in his eyes, moved by the beauty of what he witnessed. Gabriel's eyes widened slightly in amazement. "That is extraordinary. It sounds like you connected with a real event or a collective memory of healing ceremonies. Many cultures had rituals like the one you describe, although the details vary. Some might have been the ancient Essenes or a circle of druids, or perhaps a gathering from even before recorded history. What matters is that you experience the reality that energy healing has been practiced and successful in the past." Alexander nodded, wiping a tear away. It felt so real, and it was so beautiful. The way they all joined together, the light. I felt hope, as if it was showing me that this can work, that I can heal Lily too. Gabriel placed his hand over Alexander's, which still rested on his own heart as he spoke of his sister. "I believe you were meant to see that. Perhaps your father, or whatever higher guidance is out there, wanted to give you confidence. The universe has its ways of encouraging us." They both sat in silence for a minute, letting the profundity of the experience settle. The quiet archive room was filled with an almost palpable sense of the ancient past mingling with the present, as if unseen presences from that vision still lingered kindly. "Thank you for guiding me through that," Alexander finally said. "I feel connected, like I just received a gift from long ago." "You did, Alex," Gabriel replied, standing up slowly and stretching. "This archive holds many secrets, but the deepest truths lie within your own consciousness, as you have just seen. Remember that no matter how old or hidden the knowledge, it lives on inside those who seek it." Alexander rose to his feet as well, feeling a little light-headed, but profoundly encouraged. He took one last look around at the shelves of wisdom his father had treasured. "I won't forget," he said quietly. And he meant it. The ancient world had just opened its doors to him, showing that he was walking a path many had walked before. He felt more than ever that he was not alone. Countless souls across time were with him on this journey of hidden energy manifestation. Chapter 6: Nature's Embrace. The following morning broke with crystal blue skies and a gentle warmth in the air. Gabriel proposed they venture farther from the cottage to a place he promised was charged with Earth's energy. They set out just after sunrise, walking beyond the oak grove and into the wild meadow that stretched toward distant hills. As they walked, the grass brushed against Alexander's legs, and the scent of wildflowers rose with each step. He found himself smiling for no reason other than the sheer joy of being alive on such a beautiful day. "Where are we headed?" he asked, adjusting the small rucksack Gabriel had given him containing water and a bit of food. to an old friend of mine," Gabriel replied mysteriously, striding ahead with ease. They crossed a babbling stream, its cool water rushing over smooth stones. Gabriel paused on the far bank. "Let's take a moment here." He knelt and dipped his hands into the clear water, then splashed his face, sighing with refreshment. Alexander followed suit, kneeling and submerging his palms. The stream's water was cold, shocking, and invigorating. He cupped some and brought it to his face. As the water trickled down, he felt as if the stream was washing away the last remnants of sleep and worry. Water is a powerful cleanser, energetically speaking, Gabriel noted. Rivers and streams carry away negativity and renew us. In some traditions, dawn water is collected for its healing properties. They continued on, and the terrain gently sloped upward. Eventually, they entered a stand of ancient trees, towering pines and oaks, their leaves whispering with the breeze. Sunlight streamed through in golden shafts. Alexander could sense something different here. The air felt thick with life, as if the forest itself were quietly humming. Gabriel led him to a particularly massive oak tree perched near the top of a hill. Its trunk was gnarled with age, and its roots jutted out of the ground like the limbs of a resting giant. "Here we are," Gabriel said, placing a hand affectionately on the oak's bark. "This old one has seen centuries of seasons. I often come here to meditate and recharge." Alexander stepped closer, touching the bark. It was rough and covered in patches of soft moss. He gazed upward, the canopy spread wide, leaves gently rustling. "It's beautiful," he murmured, feeling a strange kinship with the venerable tree. "Trees like this have energy fields that intertwine with the earth," Gabriel explained. "Their roots go deep, their branches reach high. They are natural conduits between the ground and the sky." He motioned for Alexander to remove his shoes. They both set aside their footwear and stood barefoot at the base of the oak, toes curling into the cool, damp soil. "We will do a grounding practice here to connect with nature's energy," Gabriel said. "Think of it as plugging yourself into the earth's battery and the sky's light." Alexander nodded, eager to experience this. The idea of drawing strength from the earth and heavens resonated with the vision he had seen. Those ancient healers drawing on something beyond themselves. Perhaps this was how they did it. Energy practice, grounding with earth and sky, position yourself with nature. Alexander stood with his back gently against the mighty oak tree. "Relax and feel the tree supporting you," Gabriel instructed. Alexander felt the solid presence of the oak against his spine and head, like a wise guardian at his back. Feet on the earth. "Keep your feet firmly on the ground, flat against the soil," Gabriel said. Alexander pressed his soles into the earth, noticing the texture of dirt and little twigs. "Imagine you have roots, just like this oak. Let your roots grow from your feet, down into the soil." Alexander pictured roots extending from the bottoms of his feet, twisting and growing deeper into the ground with each breath. He felt a steadying sensation, as if he truly were becoming part of the hill. Connect to the earth energy. Now, silently in your mind, greet the earth beneath you. Feel her support. With each inhale, draw up strength from those roots, Gabriel guided. Alexander inhaled and visualized a rich green energy rising through his imagined roots into his legs, pooling in his abdomen. It was warm and nurturing, like the comfort of a home he never knew he missed. Connect to the sky energy. Now lift your arms slightly, palms up, as if to feel the sunshine falling into your hands, Gabriel said. The morning sun was indeed peeking through the branches, and Alexander turned his palms upward, eyes closed. Imagine above you the vast sky, the sun pouring down golden light. Breathe that light in through the top of your head. As Alexander inhaled again, he visualized bright golden rays flowing into him from above, entering through the crown of his head and also soaking into his upturned palms. Become the bridge. With each breath, draw earth energy up from below and sky energy down from above, Gabriel continued softly. See them meet in your heart, mingling like two rivers joining. Alexander did as instructed, green grounding energy flowing up his legs, and golden vibrant energy flowing down from his head and arms. The two currents met in his chest, coalescing into a brilliant white light. He felt his heartbeat strong and steady, as if echoing the pulse of the earth. Radiate and cycle. On each exhale, let that combined energy expand through your whole body, out to your aura, Gabriel said. Alexander released his breath and imagined the white light washing through every inch of him, from his heart out through his arms, torso, and to his skin, and a bit beyond. He felt tingles in his fingertips and a gentle buzzing around him. Then inhale again, drawing more from earth and sky, filling your well continuously. They repeated this cycle several times. Express gratitude. Now thank the earth and sky in your heart for this exchange, Gabriel concluded. With a deep sense of gratitude, Alexander silently thanked the ground underfoot and the sun overhead. He felt a subtle response, as if the earth itself gave a kindly sigh and the leaves above shivered in acknowledgement. Alexander stayed leaning against the oak for a while, eyes closed, basking in the sensation. He felt simultaneously invigorated and peaceful. There was a quiet power coursing through him, gentle but immense, and he realized it was not solely his own. It was a shared energy, a communion with nature. I feel so alive, Alexander said quietly, opening his eyes at last. The colors of the forest seemed more vivid, each leaf distinct and radiant with green. The sounds of birds and the distant trickle of the stream were sharper, yet soothing. It's like the world is brighter, and I'm part of it, not separate. Gabriel, who had been performing the exercise alongside him, smiled knowingly. That is the gift of grounding and connecting. We spend so much time in our own heads or on concrete floors, we forget our connection to Mother Earth and Father Sky. When we remember, we tap into an endless source of energy and balance. Alexander moved away from the tree and turned to face it, placing a palm on its trunk in thanks. A small breeze picked up, rustling the oak's leaves. He almost felt as if the old tree was acknowledging him, like a gentle giant patting a new friend on the back. I can see why you come here often, Alexander said, stepping back to slip his shoes on, though somewhat reluctantly. He had loved the feeling of soil underfoot. Whenever I feel drained or lost, nature guides me back to myself, Gabriel said, also retrieving his shoes. The ancients understood this deeply. Druids held ceremonies in sacred groves, yogis meditated in the mountains, indigenous healers go into the wild to vision quest, always to reconnect with the greater web of life. Alexander thought of Lily again, imagining her here with him, running her fingers along the mossy logs, laughing as butterflies danced around. When she's better, I want to bring her here, he said softly. She loves being outside. Even when she was sick, she'd ask me to wheel her bed near the window to feel the sun. Gabriel nodded, his expression one of firm belief. And she will feel the sun on her directly when she is well. Hold that image in your heart, Alex. It's a beautiful intention to manifest. Alexander closed his eyes briefly and pictured Lily, healthy and rosy-cheeked, walking through this very grove, hand in his. The thought made him smile. He realized that without noticing, he had begun to truly believe in the possibility of her healing, not just as a desperate wish, but as something attainable. Let's head back, Gabriel said, picking up the small rucksack. We have more training ahead, but for now, savor what you feel. That energy will continue to work within you, keeping you strong and centered. As they made their way down the hill, Alexander occasionally looked back at the grand oak until it disappeared behind the other trees. He felt as though he'd made a new friend in that tree and in the earth itself. Walking away, he carried a piece of the forest's calm power inside him. He knew that if ever he faltered, he could return to this feeling of being rooted and supported by something much larger and wiser than himself. Nature had embraced him, and in doing so, had awakened a deeper strength for the journey still to come. Chapter 7. The First Healing. The sun was high overhead by the time Alexander and Gabriel left the forest and walked back toward the cottage. The grounding exercise had energized Alexander so much that he felt he could walk all day without tiring. They chatted lightly about the kinds of trees and herbs they passed, Gabriel pointing out a few plants his mother had taught him about as a boy. Laughter came easily to Alexander now, a stark contrast to the heaviness he carried just days before. As they climbed over a stile that cut through a neighbour's pasture, Alexander heard a faint, frantic chirping. He paused, cocking his head to listen. The chirping came again, urgent and high-pitched. "Do you hear that?" he asked, scanning the area. Gabriel nodded and pointed to a tangle of brambles a few yards away. "Over there." They carefully approached and found a small sparrow flapping one wing desperately, the other oddly askew. It was caught in the thorny brambles, struggling to free itself. Alexander's heart clenched at the sight of the tiny creature in distress. "Easy, little one," he murmured. Gently, he and Gabriel pulled aside the prickly branches. Alexander reached in and scooped the sparrow into his hands. It didn't struggle, perhaps exhausted or sensing their intent. Its dark eyes blinked up at Alexander, beak opening and closing rapidly as it panted in fear or pain. The wing on one side hung limp. Its wing might be injured, Gabriel observed quietly. Alexander felt a surge of compassion and protectiveness. He remembered how Lily's frail body looked in the hospital bed. This sparrow, so small and helpless, sparked the same instinct in him to help. "Can we do something for it?" he asked. Gabriel smiled, a knowing glint in his eye. "Yes, indeed. This is a perfect moment to practice healing energy. They sat down on the grass, and Alexander carefully positioned the sparrow in his lap, its tiny form trembling in his cupped hands. "Poor thing," Alexander whispered, stroking its head lightly with a fingertip. His heart ached for the bird's fear and pain. He looked to Gabriel for guidance. "The key to healing is love and intention," Gabriel said softly. "You have to truly want the creature to be well, and then become a channel for that intention, letting the energy flow through you. We will use the energy from your heart and direct it through your hands." Alexander recalled the heart-light meditation and how powerful the love he felt had been. He nodded, closing his eyes a moment to center himself, feeling that warmth in his chest. "I'm ready," he said. Energy practice, healing with heart energy center, and set intention. Alexander took a deep breath and focused his mind entirely on the sparrow. In his heart, he silently stated his intention: "You are safe. You will heal. Be well." He felt compassion swell inside, his heart center warming and activating just as it had that morning. Activate the energy in your hands. He rubbed his hands together briefly, careful not to jostle the bird, just enough to rekindle the tingling sensation in his palms. Then he placed his hands around the sparrow again, not squeezing, but enclosing it gently in a loose cocoon of warmth. Open the heart channel. Alexander imagined that with each heartbeat, a gentle wave of golden light flowed from his heart, down through his arms and into his palms. He recalled how it felt to expand his inner light earlier. Now, he directed that light specifically towards the bird. His hands began to feel pleasantly hot, and the sparrow chirped softly, as if aware something was happening. Visualize the healing. Alexander visualized the sparrow's broken wing. He saw it in his mind as bathed in green and gold light, a color often associated with healing and life. He pictured the tiny bones and muscles knitting back together, inflammation cooling and easing. He imagined the bird later fluttering its wings freely and taking flight under the sun. Maintain compassion and focus. Gabriel quietly reminded him, "Keep your mind calm and your heart full of love. You're not forcing anything, just offering your energy and intention." Alexander breathed slowly, maintaining a loving feeling towards the sparrow. He silently encouraged it. "You will fly again, little one." He let the energy flow as long as he could, staying in a state of gentle prayerfulness. After a few minutes, a subtle shift occurred. The sparrow, which had been still except for its rapid breathing, began to move its injured wings slightly. At first a twitch, then it stretched both wings out as if testing them. Alexander opened his eyes when he felt the movement. "Gabriel, look!" The crooked angle of the wing had straightened. The sparrow stood up in Alexander's palm, chirping in a more robust tone. It hopped, and Alexander instinctively let it go. The sparrow fluttered into the air. It flew unsteadily for a few feet, then gained strength and soared up to a low tree branch. There it perched, looking down at them as if to say thank you, before flitting off among the leaves. Alexander realized he had been holding his breath in astonishment. He exhaled and broke into a grin, laughter of relief and joy bubbling up. "It worked," he exclaimed. His eyes were shining. the thrill of witnessing the sparrow's recovery electrifying him. "Did you see that? It actually worked." Gabriel laughed gently, placing a hand on Alexander's shoulder. "Yes, I saw. You did well, Alex. You opened your heart and let the energy do the rest. The little one will be fine now, thanks to you." A sudden wave of dizziness came over Alexander as the adrenaline of the moment subsided. He swayed, and Gabriel steadied him. "Easy now," Gabriel cautioned. "Deep breaths. Sometimes when we give a lot of energy quickly, we can feel a bit lightheaded." Alexander nodded and inhaled slowly. He hadn't noticed until now that the healing had taken a lot out of him. A mild fatigue settled in his limbs. "I do feel a bit drained," he admitted. "Is that because I gave the bird my own energy?" "Partly," Gabriel said. "When we're new to healing, we often unconsciously give from our own reserves. With practice, you'll learn to draw from the limitless energy around and within all things, like the earth and sky we connected to earlier, so you don't deplete yourself. For now, let's replenish you a bit." Gabriel had Alexander sit quietly and guided him to take a few sips of water and some slow breaths, imagining energy flowing back into him from the earth below. Within minutes, Alexander's strength returned and the dizziness passed. "Healing someone is a sacred privilege," Gabriel said as they resumed walking at a gentle pace. "Always remember to care for yourself too. A healer must remain healthy and balanced to help others. Your father learned that as well, sometimes the hard way." Alexander could hardly contain his excitement despite the momentary fatigue. I still can't believe I did that. I mean, I believed it in theory, but actually seeing the bird fly, it feels like a miracle." "It is a kind of miracle, but one that is very natural," Gabriel replied. "Life wants to heal. We are simply facilitating what nature intends using the tools we have: energy, love, intention." As the cottage came into view down the lane, Alexander felt a surge of renewed hope. If he could help heal a sparrow, even in a small way, then the idea of healing Lily no longer seemed so far-fetched. "I want to try this with Lily," he said, determination in his voice. "I know I'm not fully trained yet, but maybe it's enough to help her." Gabriel turned to him, the afternoon sun lighting half of his kindly face. "Your progress is remarkable, Alex, and your love for Lily is a powerful force. We will attempt to help her very soon, but let's do so properly, with preparation. She is a human being, which can be more complex, and her illness may have deeper roots." Alexander understood. As eager as he was, he trusted Gabriel's wisdom. "What should I do? Tonight, we will rest, and we will do one more thing to ensure you are ready. We must strengthen your protection and your will. There are sometimes unseen forces that can sap our strength or confidence, our own doubts or even energetic interference. Before we focus on Lily, I want to teach you how to protect yourself and her in the process." Alexander recalled how drained he felt after healing the bird and how fear had gotten to him before. He nodded in agreement. "All right. I want to be as ready as possible for her, whatever it takes." They arrived back at the cottage as the sun began its descent. Alexander gently touched his chest, where beneath his shirt the pendant of his father's wedding ring hung. He felt closer than ever to fulfilling what his father had intended. In his heart, gratitude and resolve burned together. Soon he would try to heal his sister, and with each step of guidance from Gabriel and each practice, he felt the odds tipping more in their favor. Chapter 8: Shield of Light. Nightfall found Alexander and Gabriel seated by the fireplace, a single candle flickering on the table between them. The day's events had left Alexander's mind buzzing. The vision in the archive, the communion with the old oak, and the miracle of the healed sparrow. Now, as crickets sang outside and a crescent moon peered through the window, Alexander felt both anticipation and a slight nervousness. Tomorrow, if Gabriel deemed him ready, they would attempt to heal Lily. Sensing Alexander's tension, Gabriel poured 2 cups of a mild herbal tea. The steam carried the soothing scent of lavender and chamomile. "Drink this," Gabriel offered. "It will calm your nerves." Alexander accepted the cup gratefully. As he sipped the warm brew, he glanced at the dancing candle flame. "You mentioned strengthening my protection and will tonight," he prompted. "What did you have in mind?" Gabriel leaned back in his chair. The firelight cast gentle shadows on the walls lined with books. "Over the last 2 days, you've awakened to your abilities remarkably fast. You've opened your heart, balanced your emotions, connected to nature, and even practiced healing. The foundation is strong." He paused, taking a slow sip of his tea. "However, when you attempt something as significant as healing your sister, you must be prepared for challenges. Some may be internal, doubt, fear, though you've learned to quell those. Others could be external." "External?" Alexander asked, brow furrowing. "Do you mean like other people's skepticism or something more?" Gabriel nodded. "Skepticism or negative energy from others can subtly affect us if we let it. Think of it as static in the air that can interfere with a clear signal. If your mother or a doctor is fearful or doubtful, you might unconsciously pick up on that. And then there are simply the natural forces of illness or imbalance that resist change. Sometimes when we pour in light, the darkness pushes back a bit. None of this is cause for alarm, but it's wise to have a shield, an energetic protection for yourself and for Lily." Alexander understood. He remembered how drained he felt after helping the sparrow, and how earlier fear had nearly paralyzed him. "So, a shield would keep negative influences out and keep us focused on the healing," he summarized. "Exactly," Gabriel smiled. "It's like creating a sacred, safe space where only good may enter." Gabriel stood and gestured for Alexander to stand as well. They moved the chairs aside to have a clear space in the center of the room. The candle remained on the table, casting a gentle glow. "We'll use the candle as a focal point," Gabriel said. "Fire has long been a symbol of protection and purification." Alexander stood facing the candle, Gabriel beside him. He could feel the stillness of the night around them, the faint crackle of the fireplace, the tranquility of the moment. It was an ideal setting to build a fortress of light, energy, practice, creating a protective shield, ground and center. Before beginning, Alexander closed his eyes and took a deep breath, recalling the feeling of being rooted to the earth and open to the sky. He planted his feet firmly on the floor, imagining energetic roots reaching down, his body relaxed, mind steadying from the racing thoughts of tomorrow's task. Invoke the light. Gabriel's voice was low and clear. Visualize above you a source of brilliant light, like a star or a small sun hovering over your head. Alexander pictured a radiant orb just above him, shining with a pure white light. Now imagine that light pouring down around you like a waterfall of shimmering white. Form the bubble. As the light falls, see it forming a bubble or dome around you, Gabriel continued. Alexander visualized the cascade of light curving around his body, enclosing him in a sphere of glowing illumination. It was as if he stood inside a cocoon of soft white radiance that extended several feet in all directions. The candlelight flickered, and Alexander felt an easing in the air, as though a gentle hush had fallen. Strengthen with intention. This light is intelligent and protective, said Gabriel. Set the intention that only love, healing, and positivity can exist within your sphere. Any negative energy will bounce off or dissolve on contact. Alexander silently affirmed, I am surrounded by divine light. Only goodness may enter. All negativity is repelled. He imagined the sphere's walls solidifying like an unbreakable shield of crystal light. Expand the protection. Now, if you wish to protect another, like Lily, you can extend this bubble to include her, Gabriel instructed. Alexander envisioned Lily's fragile form and brought her image inside his heart. From his heart, he visualized a thread of light extending to her, wherever she was. Instantly, the sphere of light around him expanded outward, as if encompassing the distance. His mind's eye, he saw Lily bathed in the same protective white glow, her bedroom filling with light, any darkness or pain retreating from her bedside. Seal the shield. To finish, mentally affirm the shield is in place and will remain so, Gabriel said. Alexander imagined drawing a symbolic seal around the outer edge of the sphere, perhaps a ring of fire or a band of gold, to represent its closure. He quietly said, "So it is." Alexander opened his eyes. The room looked the same, but he felt a tangible difference. The air within his imagined sphere seemed softer, quieter. He felt safe, as if nothing could disturb his peace unless he allowed it. "I can truly feel it," he said, sounding a little awed, "like I'm in a bubble of calm." Gabriel nodded, pleased. "Yes, that is your shield. With practice, you can put it up instantly whenever you need. Some people like to visualize mirrors on the outside reflecting harm away, or flames that burn up negativity. Use whatever imagery resonates, but the core is your unwavering intent to keep only positive energy within." Alexander glanced at the candle flame. It burned steadily without flicker within the still air of the bubble he felt around them. He thought of Lily again. "I pictured Lily inside the light too. Do you think she'll feel anything?" "She might," Gabriel said, thoughtfully. "It's possible she'll sleep more peacefully tonight or feel a bit of comfort without knowing why. The bond between you and she is strong, so when you send that protective intention, her spirit will receive it on some level." That thought warmed Alexander. Even before physically being by her side, he could already help her in subtle ways. They sat down again, leaving the candle burning as a gentle reminder of the exercise's power. "There is one more aspect to strengthening your will," Gabriel added after a moment. "It's not a separate practice, but something to remember. faith, believe in yourself, in the energy, and in the outcome you seek. Doubt can poke holes in your shield, so if you notice any, acknowledge it and let it go as you did in the forest exercise. Reaffirm your trust in what you're doing. Alexander straightened slightly in his chair, absorbing those words. He remembered the absolute conviction he felt when the sparrow flew, and the clarity after his fear-calming exercise. He needed to carry that conviction forward now. I do believe, Gabriel. I feel in my bones that this is going to work. Gabriel reached across the table and squeezed Alexander's hand. Your father would be so proud of you, and I am too. You've come far in a short time, but remember this knowledge has always lived within you. You were just unlocking the doors. Alexander smiled, squeezing back. I had good guides. They extinguished the candle together, and Gabriel walked him to the foot of the stairs. Rest now. Tomorrow we'll go see Lily. We'll bring everything you've learned to help her. And remember, you won't be doing it alone. I'll be there, and so will the energies and love you've connected with. In bed, Alexander lay awake a few extra minutes despite the calming tea. He stared at the ceiling, mentally rehearsing the healing to come. He saw himself entering Lily's room, calm and full of light. He imagined placing his hands on her gently and seeing golden light flow into her, just as it did the sparrow. He pictured her eyes opening, her smile bright and strong. With that hopeful image in mind, he finally drifted into a sound sleep, encased in the shield of light that would guard him and his sister through the night and into the dawn of a new day. Chapter 9. The Healing. The morning dawned brisk and clear. Alexander and Gabriel loaded into Gabriel's old sedan for the short drive to Alexander's family home. As the engine hummed along the country road, Alexander gazed out the window, heart thudding in anticipation. He clutched a small pouch Gabriel had given him, a blend of healing herbs and a rose quartz crystal, to place in Lily's room for good energy. It was a token of comfort, though he knew the true power lay within him. "How are you feeling?" Gabriel asked, breaking the silence as they turned onto the lane that led to the Grant residence. "Nervous?" Alexander managed a faint smile. "A little, but mostly I'm ready. I kept reciting everything in my head when I woke up. Grounding, heart light, visualization, the shield. I feel prepared." "Good," Gabriel said. "Stay open to intuition as well. Sometimes in the moment you'll be guided to do something slightly different. Trust those instincts." They pulled to a stop in front of a modest, cozy-looking house with a wraparound porch. The garden was overgrown, a sign that in his father's absence and with Lily's condition, upkeep had fallen behind. Alexander's mother, Maria, opened the front door before they even knocked, having seen the car arrive. Her face was lined with worry and exhaustion, but upon seeing Alexander, her eyes flooded with relief and love. "Alex, thank God," Maria whispered, pulling him into a tight embrace. She'd been stoic through the funeral and Lily's illness, but now a tear slipped down her cheek. "I was so afraid you wouldn't make it in time. Lily took a bad turn last night. She's very weak." Alexander felt a jolt of fear at those words, but he quickly recalled his training. He breathed in, imagining strength flowing up from the earth into him. "I'm here now, Mum, and I brought Gabriel." Maria stepped back and nodded a greeting to Gabriel, whom she had met long ago. "Thank you for coming," she said softly. There was a flicker of hope in her tired eyes. Perhaps Alexander's conviction was contagious. "We will do everything we can for Lily," Gabriel assured her. "Let's go to her." They entered the quiet house. The air inside was tinged with the scent of antiseptic and a faint trace of Lily's favourite vanilla candles. Alexander noticed the living room had been partially transformed into a sick room, medical supplies on a side table, curtains drawn to a gentle glow. On a daybed near the window lay Lily. Alexander's heart clenched seeing his little sister. Lily's once rosy cheeks were pale, dark circles under her closed eyes. At 12 years old, she looked small and fragile under the knitted blanket. Each shallow rise and fall of her chest was laboured. He moved to her side and gently took her hand. It felt cool and limp. "Hey, Lilybean," he whispered, using his pet name for her. "I'm here." Her eyes fluttered open slightly at the sound of his voice. Lily's lips curved in a weak smile. "Alex," she breathed. Her voice was barely audible. "I missed you," Alexander said, swallowing the lump in his throat. He brushed a few strands of her light brown hair from her forehead. "I've brought someone who can help make you better, okay? We're going to try something special." Lily's eyes shifted to Gabriel, who stood respectfully a little distance away. "Hi, Lily," Gabriel said softly. "I'm a friend of your brother and your dad. I'm here to help." She gave a tiny nod, too weak to speak more, but Alexander could sense a faint hope in her gaze. Maria pulled a chair close, holding Lily's other hand, her face taut with worried anticipation. Alexander closed his eyes for a moment, centering himself. This was it. All of his journey led to this point. He felt Gabriel's hand briefly squeeze his shoulder in support. He pictured the protective sphere of light around them all, as they had built last night. He imagined it encasing the room, shimmering with peace and safety. The atmosphere indeed felt hushed and holy, as if unseen guardians were gathered. "Lily," Gabriel said calmly, "we're going to do a healing meditation. You just relax, dear. You might feel some warmth or tingling, but it won't hurt, okay?" Lily blinked once for yes. Maria stroked her hair. Alexander took a steady breath and placed his palms lightly on Lily, one on her forehead and one on her chest, just over her heart, above the blanket. Gabriel knelt and placed one hand on Lily's abdomen and the other on her knees. They exchanged a nod, silently coordinating their intent. Energy practice, channeling the healing light ground, and connect. Alexander grounded himself, visualizing roots from his feet anchoring deep into the earth beneath the house. Simultaneously, he envisioned the sunlight energy pouring into him from above. His body became a bridge of energy, just as with the oak tree. Ignite the heart. He activated his heart center, recalling the golden light he'd kindled that morning before. Love for Lily welled up in him, memories of her laughter, her bravery through illness, her pure heart. Tears stung his eyes, but he blinked them back, channeling them into compassion flowing through his hands. Channel universal energy. He remembered to draw not just from himself, but from the boundless energy around. In his mind, he invited the vitality of the earth and the brilliance of the sky to join in this healing. He even felt, or imagined, a familiar presence, his father, standing silently in the room, lending strength. With each inhale, Alexander drew in this universal life force. With each exhale, he guided it into Lily. Visualize renewal. Alexander pictured the illness in Lily as dark, shadowy patches weighing on her organs. He then directed the golden healing light into those areas, imagining the darkness dissolving and every cell returning to its natural, healthy state. He held in his mind a clear vision of Lily radiant, strong and whole. Alexander began to breathe deeply in a slow, rhythmic pattern. With every inhale, he visualized bright, healing light gathering in his heart and coursing down his arms. With each exhale, he pushed that light out through his palms into Lily's body. Gabriel murmured a gentle chant, words from an old language Alexander didn't know, but he recognized the cadence as one of prayer and focus. Maria closed her eyes, silently praying as well, tears on her lashes. Alexander felt heat build in his palms, even more intense than with the sparrow. It spread into Lily. He could feel the energy moving, seeking the places of illness and imbalance. Lily's face, which had been pinched in discomfort, gradually smoothed. Her breathing, initially ragged, grew deeper and more even. Minutes passed. The room was quiet except for their breathing. A soft wind chime outside rang in a sudden breeze, as if acknowledging the subtle shifts happening within. Lily gave a small sigh, the first sound since they'd begun. Alexander felt a gentle tingling sensation sweep under the hand on her chest, a fluttery movement, almost like the buzz he felt when sensing energy. He intuitively knew it was her heart center responding, opening to the energy. Encouraged, he let more love pour forth, smiling softly and whispering, "You're okay, Lil. It's okay. Just receive this love." Gabriel placed his free hand atop Alexander's on Lily's chest briefly, joining their energies more directly. Alexander felt a surge as if a circuit had been completed among all three of them. A warmth filled the room, and the air felt charged like after a thunderstorm, but gentle. Then, Lily inhaled a long, deep breath, deeper than Alexander had heard from her in weeks. She exhaled and slowly opened her eyes wide. "Mom?" Lily said, her voice clearer and stronger than before. Maria let out a soft cry of joy. "I'm here, baby, I'm here." Alexander lifted his hands away, stunned and elated to see color already returning to Lily's cheeks. Lily blinked, looking around. Her gaze fell on Alexander and Gabriel. "I feel warm," she whispered, sounding a little surprised. "That's the healing working in you," Gabriel explained gently, sitting back. "How do you feel, Lily? Any pain?" Lily took a moment to assess, then shook her head slightly. "No, I feel okay, better. I'm thirsty," she added, a bit of wonder in her tone. Simple requests like water had been rare lately with her fatigue. Maria laughed through tears and quickly reached for a glass of water on the bedside. She helped Lily drink. Lily sipped eagerly. Alexander watched in amazement. A new light danced in Lily's eyes. It was like seeing a wilting flower spring back upright toward the sun. "Lily Bean, you look great," he said, brushing her cheek. It was warmer now, life coursing beneath the skin. Lily managed a small giggle. "I feel weird, but good weird, like when you wake up from a really good dream." She looked at Alexander. I dreamed of Dad. He was with me by my bed, and you were there, Alex, shining like a star. Dad said I had to go back because you and he had work to do with me." She scrunched her brow as if trying to remember more. Alexander's breath caught. A tear finally escaped and rolled down his face. He gently took Lily into a hug, mindful of her still being delicate. "I love you, Lily," he whispered. "I love you too," she mumbled against his shoulder. She then looked over at Gabriel uncertainly, not having the strength yet to move from the bed. "Thank you," she said to him, shy but sincere. Gabriel smiled, lines of relief evident on his face. "You're most welcome, but your brother here did most of it. He's your hero." "No, Dad is," Lily said with conviction. Then she added, "and Alex." Maria gently felt Lily's forehead and pulse as if to confirm this reality. "Her fever's gone," she murmured in disbelief. I can't even explain." She looked at Gabriel, then Alexander, emotion overflowing. "Thank you both. She pulled Alexander and Gabriel both into a grateful embrace across the bed, careful not to jostle Lily. "Thank God for this miracle," she whispered. Tears of joy and gratitude flowed freely now. Alexander realized his shirt was damp from either his own tears or Lily's or his mother's. Perhaps all three, but he had never felt lighter. In that moment, he felt the presence of his father strongly, a sense of pride and love emanating, as if his father stood just behind him with a hand on his shoulder. Alexander closed his eyes and sent a silent thank you into the ether. "Thank you for guiding me here, Dad." After a short while, Lily fell into a natural, restful sleep, one they knew was for recovery, not escape. She looked peaceful, a slight smile on her lips. Gabriel suggested they let her rest and allow the healing to continue its work quietly. They stepped outside into the late morning sun. Maria went to call the visiting nurse to cancel for the day and possibly update the doctor later, leaving Alexander and Gabriel by the garden gate. Alexander felt the cool breeze on his face and looked up at the sky, the same vibrant blue as when this journey began. Everything felt astonishingly vivid. "We did it," he said softly, still half in awe. "You did it," Gabriel corrected, resting a hand on his back. "You allowed the energy to manifest through you. Lily's own will to live and the love surrounding her did the rest." Alexander let out a long breath, releasing the last of his tension. Satisfaction, relief, and elation swirled in him. It was so gentle. I expected maybe some flash of light or something dramatic, but it was just warmth and light, and then He trailed off, smiling. "Most true miracles are quiet, like seeds sprouting in the earth," Gabriel said, "but their effects are immeasurable. Today, you witnessed one of life's greatest gifts, the power to heal and transform through energy and love." Alexander turned to Gabriel, emotion welling anew. "I can't thank you enough for teaching me, for guiding me through this." "Your father set you on this path. I merely walked beside you a while," Gabriel replied. "I'm so happy for you and your family." They embraced mentor and student, both changed profoundly by the experience shared. Over Gabriel's shoulder, Alexander saw through the window Lily sleeping peacefully and Maria gently caressing her hair with a look of hope. He knew their lives had just changed in the most incredible way. As they separated, Gabriel looked at Alexander with pride. "Your journey doesn't end here, Alex. In fact, it's only begun. There are many who suffer, many who have forgotten the hidden energy that lives in all things. You have a gift now, and a calling if you choose it." Alexander nodded slowly. He felt that truth resonate inside. This knowledge wasn't just for saving Lily, it was a part of him now, a purpose he couldn't ignore. "I want to continue learning and helping others, like Lily," he said, conviction growing in his voice. I think this is what I'm meant to do." Gabriel's eyes shone. "I had a feeling you'd say that." He patted Alexander's shoulder. "There is much more I can teach, and much that you will discover on your own. And perhaps one day you'll teach others as well. This is how the light spreads." Under the bright sky, next to the blooming roses that Maria had once tended lovingly, Alexander felt an overwhelming gratitude. He closed his eyes and opened his arms slightly, feeling the breeze, the sun, the very energy that he now knew flowed through everything. He felt connected to the vast tapestry of life, from the tiniest sparrow to the tallest oak, from his dear sister to the ancient healers of his vision. Hidden energy manifestation, he thought to himself, reflecting on the phrase. It was no longer just a concept or a mysterious promise from a letter. It was real. It had a face and name, love, connection, and life itself. And it was not hidden anymore, at least not to him.